So several months ago, I made a video going over the best investing channels and I rank them and give reasons why. I also talk about my ranking criteria. Example, if you take heaps of sponsors, give basic information, have clickbait titles and thumbnails, and don't give actionable trading ideas, whether that be on technicals, fundamentals, or even just suggestions on what to watch, you will rank lower in that video. Naturally, I didn't cover every single channel on YouTube, and naturally, more channels get suggested to me by the algorithm the more I continue to watch finance content. There are channels I'll go over in this video that were on my prior list, but a lot of these weren't covered in the prior video as I didn't find them beforehand. Now, staying true to the title, I'll go over the only 8 channels you need to boost up your investor stat. Keep in mind, however, this is if you want to boost your knowledge as a stock market trader, which is a very small part of the population. Most people who invest tend to just dollar cost average, which is slowly putting money into their investment each week/month, and then leave it for retirement. You see channels like New Money or Graham Stephan talk about this. They'll talk about something for the entire video, but end it off by saying that all they're doing is just the same thing as before, slowly putting money into index funds, an ETF, whatever. New Money tends to cover topics about what Warren Buffett says, but the ultimate point to most of what he says is just to stick to it for the long term and just invest into broad market funds. Channels like Graham, on the other hand, are terrible at this sort of stuff. They'll talk all about this doom and gloom news topic with some end of the world clickbait title, but then say, oh, I'm just dollar cost averaging through all of this. I've flamed channels like him enough in my Ranking Finance YouTubers video, so check that out for more reasons as to why he's trash and what channels are actually good. Now, if your investing strategy is the classic slowly buy into the market, like most people advocate for, that's totally fine. These channels I'm about to cover mostly aren't for you. A lot of these channels cover news topics which may be of interest to you, and it's a good way to get some semblance of how the financial system we are all under works. But these channels are basically ranked on the quality of information and trading ideas they can provide to you, leading you to earn some extra coin by learning how to swing trade certain market moves, which I know for a fact will give me great dividends in the future. The more practice I get with smaller money now, the better I'll be when it comes to using the bigger bucks. But this isn't for everyone. I've talked about the cons of this in the past. I never play with more money than I'm willing to lose. Ultimately, I see more positives than negatives for this, as obviously if you spend years doing something, you'll get good at it. I'm currently accumulating time in the market and getting numerous trades under my belt, alongside gathering expert opinions, so I can better learn this thing and become extremely good at it. But if you aren't about this sort of lifestyle, that's fine, but these channels may not be for you. If you have the standard basic investment strategy, the current news, events, and moves in the market are irrelevant to you. I'd suggest learning about this, as it'll give you an idea of the financial system, as mentioned before, but this is more so for the swing traders and stock market traders like myself. Lastly, a hidden important reason to keep listening/watching to investing stuff is that your algorithm will recommend other channels to you. This is a good way to find hidden gems. It's how I found my top 2 finance channels actually. I'd never heard of anyone else mention these guys before, until the YouTube algorithm recommended these channels to me. Lately, I haven't had any new/good channels relating to finance recommended to me since I've had a lot of basketball related stuff on my feed, since at the time of writing this script, it's in the midst of the 2023 NBA playoffs. And as regulars know, I watch video game related stuff before bed to take my mind off the hustle and bustle of life. And I've switched up the content I've been watching, so the more of these specific genres that get recommended to me in my algorithm, the less finance stuff gets recommended, lowering my chances of being recommended good finance channels. So that's an underrated reason as to why you should watch finance stuff if you want to become a better stock market trader, because you will eventually be fed really good sources of information. Without further ado, let's go into the top channels. An honourable mention outside of the top 8 is Mott Capital Management. This channel would be an A if he was ranked in my prior video. I also mentioned him during the Sunday portion in my most productive week ever video. He uploads once a week. He goes over a lot of technical data as well as fundamental, and he has his own Bloomberg terminal, so he's able to provide information that most others can't. Bloomberg terminals cost $20,000 per year to rent, as far as I'm aware. Mostly hedge funds will have a heap of subscriptions to this, but rarely does an individual. Not sure if he's using his one in the form of work or paying for a subscription for the sake of his business, but either way, it's valuable information. However, he isn't a necessary channel for the sake of this video. I'd highly recommend him, seeing as though he only uploads once per week, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. And the fact he delves into a Bloomberg terminal sets him apart from the other channels I watch. Two other honourable mentions are Options Drops and Hamid Trades. These channels make videos a couple hours after the New York Stock Exchange closes, and they go over technical charts predominantly. These guys would be B or A tier if I was to rank them, as I found them after I made that ranking video. They have good information, but they're not applicable for the purposes of this video. There are more succinct channels you can watch to get your information. So let's go into the 8 channels. Channel 1, Bell Direct, an A tier channel based on my prior rankings. They make 2 to 4 minute videos that give you the basic outline of what's going on in the markets. They'll cover macroeconomic news and important company earnings. Like, they'll briefly cover companies like Tesla, Meta, Google, etc., but they won't cover smaller companies like Carnival Cruise Lines, for example. They also mention some trading ideas if you play the Australian Stock Exchange. They're nice quick videos to keep you up to speed in the stock market. Now, this is an Aussie specific channel, but you'll find they cover quite a lot of New York Stock Exchange related events, so worth a watch for any investor. Channel 2, ComSec TV. This would be A tier if it was in my prior ranking video, which it wasn't, as I didn't find it until after that video was made. Now, this is very similar to Bell Direct, probably more detailed and longer than Bell Direct, but not by much. They cover similar news to Bell Direct, but I'd argue they're slightly more specific. It's also another Aussie channel, but again, they do cover a lot of New York Stock Exchange related stuff. So again, another channel worth watching as an investor, especially since between the two channels mentioned, you'd be spending less than 10 minutes listening. So if you don't have the ability to listen to videos while working or driving like I do, definitely try out these two small succinct channels. Channel 3, Stocked Up. I rated this channel as the second best finance channel on YouTube in my prior rankings, and they're still up there. They might be 3rd or 4th now, but I'll get back to that later on in the video. Hey, adding this part in after the audio and images were ready to go for this initial video, but I realized I didn't actually touch on the ranking of Stocked Up at all. But basically, this video is practically in order of least good to most good. Although I still think highly of Stocked Up and will always watch their videos, you'll find more information you need in the higher ranking channels in this video, if that makes sense. Furthermore, I found another channel close to when the video was ready to start being edited, and that's Click Capital. Another example of the YouTube algorithm feeding me channels because I keep watching finance stuff. This channel goes into all the relevant news, keeps it succinct whilst somehow giving more info than the other channels based on that news. And they also go over technicals on many major charts. At least, that seems to be what it goes over at the time of recording this. So, let's just say this video is the only 9 channels you need. This channel would probably be slotted between channels 6 and 7, so this would be the 3rd most important channel for you as an investor. Anyway, back to the OG recording. But they're a fantastic channel. They had no sponsors prior to writing this script, but literally the same day I'm writing this part of the script, they seem to have partnered with a system called Book Something, maybe Bookmap, which is fine since the sponsorship is a platform related to stock trading. It's not a product or a specific company, but this is fine with me. If you watch the rankings video, you'll know I rank channels down when they take too many sponsorships, since that means they're incentivized to push their audience towards those products, aka FTX. If you're a finance channel and you get a sponsorship offer from FTX, you're more likely to push your audience towards using that. The Maverick of Wall Street recently talked about in one of his videos that he said he was offered around $30,000 to sponsor FTX, and this was before he was as big as he was now. Crazy money. He turned it down, which shows his integrity and his brand stat maximization. which helps him get his S tier ranking from me. But look at all the other channels who took that sponsorship. Their audience trusted their recommendations, and a lot of them lost a lot of money on that. And those channels walk away with their fat paycheck and no negative repercussions, other than some temporary hate on their videos a couple weeks after the collapse. Now everything is like it's back to normal. But anyway, back to Stocked Up. So other than this new bookmap thing, which is an acceptable sponsorship since it's simply a trading tool as far as I'm aware, they have no sponsors, hence they won't push you to using anything that incentivizes them, they just give you the raw facts. They cover macroeconomic news, earnings of many companies when they arise. They've even covered some more obscure news that I didn't see from anyone else, and knowing that news has made me some money by trading accordingly. They also talk about momentum plays, which is basically which stocks are trending in which direction. So there's the opportunity to make money off this by following those trades. It doesn't work out every time, of course, but it's way quicker than doing the charts and stuff yourself. If you're a regular of mine, you know I have a lot on my plate as it is. It's an inefficient use of my time to be looking at all these charts when there are others who are better at it than me do the work for me. In summary, another fantastic channel to watch. Channel 4, We Profit Day and Night with Stock Curry. This channel wasn't ranked as I found it after the fact, but it's an easy A tier. This channel was mentioned during the week in my most productive week ever video, and he goes over macroeconomic news, certain data that I don't see other channels covering, earnings news for particular companies, and he seems to be pretty good at swing trading / day trading as far as I'm aware. He has his own subscription sort of service, but I'm not a part of that fact, so I can't speak for the results, but it seems pretty good. Another great channel. Channel 5, Nobody Special Finance. Every morning I watch his market open video. It's outdated since by the time I wake up here in Australia, the market has already closed, but knowing what happened at the market open helps paint the scene for the rest of the day. Plus, he also covers certain news topics that are of importance to you as an investor. It's a great way to start the morning. It's the first video I play when I'm in the shower getting ready. His only sponsors are precious metals related, I believe, so no pushing you towards scams like FTX. I personally don't care much for having my wealth in physical gold, for example, but it's better than a pump and dump crypto scheme, hey. And besides his live streams in the morning that keep you up to date with the market news, he will upload videos that go into detail on particular news events that get hidden by mainstream media, such as issues with central banks or banking collapses. At worst, just watch his morning live streams about the market. They usually only go for around 10 minutes. Channel 6, Gamification of Life. You knew this was coming, I'm going to recommend me. I'm not a finance channel per se, but I do have some finance stuff from time to time. And I know I have a handful of subs who are here for the finance related stuff, but that's not majority of what my audience is interested in, as you can tell by the views. So I won't be focused on the investment side of things, but I will sprinkle it into my other videos. Anyway, I'll summarize some economic stuff from time to time, or even make videos that basically spoon feed you good sources of finance information, so you don't have to go digging through all the shit like Andre Jick, Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin, or Jeremy, since their videos are the first to pop up when you're trying to learn about this stuff. So I'd highly recommend this channel as a channel for finance, because I'll make some good finance information from time to time. I make $0 from this channel. I have 0 sponsorships, so I have 0 incentive to push you towards certain products or certain stocks or anything like that. And I'll also recommend good channels for you. Like, let's just think of a hypothetical situation. If you're a finance channel, let's just say you don't have a job or 2 jobs like I do, and your primary stream of income is your YouTube channel, your finance YouTube channel. Your income depends on things like sponsorships and AdSense, but it basically ties down to your viewership and your subscriber growth and the growth of your channel and your brand, right? So if that's the case, why would you recommend other channels instead of yours? You wouldn't, right? You'd be trying to retain as much of your audience as possible and deter them from watching other people in case they find a better channel, right? Well, in my case, because my primary income stream isn't from this brand or channel, in fact, because as mentioned, I make no money from it at all, I have far less incentive to keep you hanging around purely for my finance content. and hence why you have this video and my other prior rankings video. I'm here to help you out, I'm not here to suck you in, so that's why you should watch Gamification of Life if you're an investor. Channel 7, The Maverick of Wall Street. If you've watched me over the past 9 months or so, I've found a way to sing this channel's praises in many videos, even ones that weren't finance related. So you may be wondering why this is now the second best channel. Well, I found a channel that's even better for you as an investor/trader, but we'll get to that. This was my only S-tier finance channel in my rankings, and now it shares that spot with one other. The Mav goes over macroeconomic data like the others, and he will bring up heaps of stats and charts to support his viewpoint. He also goes over detailed charts on the most notable stocks and indices, as well as information on commodities, as well as what's going on in the options market, which is important to know as it shows where the market sentiment is. For example, if there's a heavy bias towards put options, it causes selling pressure and also shows a negative sentiment towards the stock, meaning you're likely to make money betting on the stock going down in the next coming days, for example. Also, no sponsors. He has his own paid membership program, which I'm a part of, but that's it. There's also timestamps on the videos, so if you don't care about the macroeconomic part or options or whatever, you can simply skip. This hurts his watch time, but it helps the viewer. I watch the whole thing as I'm out here maximizing the investor stat, but some people don't care. Whereas if you watch shit like Graham Stephan, I just like, he's just too easy to bash, right? So if you watch shit like Graham Stephan, he very clearly could put timestamps in his videos since he often talks about points, like point 1, point 2, point 3, etc. and he ranks them, but he doesn't. Since he doesn't care about you as the viewer, he only cares about the watch time, because apparently he didn't make enough money from real estate. I can understand growing your channel, growing side income, etc., but how about growing it via the quality of your content, not with clickbait titles and thumbnails and playing the algorithm into recommending your videos first? The subscriber count is never a good indicator of how good a channel is at what they do. Their subscriber count is just a reflection of how well they're able to play the YouTube game, not the stock market game. Here we are. The best finance channel for you as an investor is Just Trading. If you watch my video on stat updates after my 5th exam, you may have caught this one. I had a slide on this for less than 10 seconds. I often drop some tidbits in amongst my videos that even some regulars don't catch. This was one of them, but I felt like giving its dedicated spot here as it's honestly such a goldmine. This channel was recommended via the algorithm on my gamification YouTube feed, not my personal one. And my personal one is where I spend most of my time since I have YouTube Premium on my personal. I don't watch as much finance stuff on my gamification feed, but miraculously, on the sidebars when I had a Maverick of Wall Street members only video going, since I'm part of his membership program on Gamification of Life, but not my personal one, a certain video was recommended to me when I was on the Gamification of Life channel, right? And it was titled with the prior date and a closing report. And I was like, sounds interesting. Especially since I like listening to closing market recaps, as you've realized from this video. But one interesting thing that caught my eye, 9 views. Only 9 views? Is this an upcoming YouTube channel? Normally I don't pay much attention to newer channels in terms of finance. Kind of hypocritical coming from me, you know, not giving someone a chance, but what I mean is I don't pay that much attention in the sense that there usually isn't anything that newer channels provide that I can't get from other channels already. Although there are heaps of finance channels out there, a lot of them are unique in their own way, which you would understand if you saw my ranking finance YouTubers video. Yes, some of them just give market recaps like Bell Direct and Comsec TV, but if you watch them, you'll know that they're unique in their own ways. And another thing, a lot of the newer finance channels I find recommended to me talk about stuff like Warren Buffett's top 5 rules for investing, or a should you buy the dip type of video. You know, the sort of videos that are like timeless in a way. Like you can essentially look back in 6 months' time, watch them, and nothing is really outdated. Whereas you can't do that with most of the finance channels that give you recent events, like what I'm showing you here. So that's what I mean in terms of newer channels. Like, their newer channels tend to regurgitate content from other channels like New Money. They're not giving anything unique. Like me, for instance, yes, I'm small and new, but it's not like I'm directly copying another YouTuber or another YouTube genre. You know, I'm not running a finance YouTuber that's like the Wish version of Graham Stephan or the Wish version of New Money, just talking about Warren Buffett's top 5 tips and Warren Buffett's best idea to invest in this upcoming recession, or how Charlie Munger makes money in recessions or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I see it a lot in the fitness space too. A lot of newer sort of upcoming fitness channels, there's like, they're nice and all, but there's nothing really new that they're doing that hasn't already been done yet. You can grow from this, but and then it's like, what makes you different? I'm getting a little bit off topic, but the ultimate point I'm trying to make is, normally when I see new finance channels, I'm like, all right, let's see what they got. They probably got nothing new to offer. It's probably just another Warren Buffett top tips type of thing. But yeah, anyway, back to my point, you know, I'm not copying another YouTube genre. I don't really see anyone else doing what I do. I see vloggers who actually have jobs, unlike most content creators, but they won't go to the gym to the extent that I do, or their gym routines and their diets are super basic. They don't fully understand the intricacies of what's involved in the gym. But then what separates me from fitness influencers is my actual job and different lifestyle, so that's why I'm different. But, you know, I'll move on. The point is, I normally think nothing of newer or smaller finance channels. I more often than not put the new recommended videos to watch later, and if I like their style, I'll subscribe and watch more. And boy oh boy, I'm glad I did with this one. Somehow this channel only has around 471 or 472 subs, probably because the algorithm shows it no love, because they don't pull a Graham Stephan and beg for likes. You know, you've seen those videos. Oh, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Like, if people like the video, as in like they physically like it, as in they like it in the sense that they enjoy it, they will probably click the like button, yeah? And if they like your style of content and see that you upload other videos with that type of style, they will subscribe. There's no use begging for it. Like, I've never understood that. But anyway, another reason they're probably not that high in subscriber count is because they don't pull the YouTube game of the bullshit clickbait ass titles and thumbnails. But this channel, they go into depth on which stocks are a good suggestion to buy or short. I jot down their recommendations and make moves based on said recommendations. It's paying off. They're not 100% correct at all times, but sometimes you just need to give that trade some time to play out. But their success rate, at least so far for me, is well over 50%. These guys are hard to find elsewhere. They're not very active on Twitter. I made a stock Twitter account just to follow them, only to realize that they don't really post on there either. They don't appear to have an Instagram account, and I don't think their Patreon works anymore, but they're a godsend. I'm low-key worried they won't continue uploading, but since they have like 1.1 thousand videos and counting, I can't imagine they'd stop now just because their subscriber count doesn't reflect the quality of their work. It's AI generated, I'm not sure how they do it, but it seems they have some automatic system in place that does this for them, so I believe they'll keep going with this. The final thing that sells me on this channel is that I was talking to my friend who is a massive crypto nerd the other day. I mentioned how 3 specific cryptos had good charts, but I don't know. And then he responds with something like, yeah, they seem good. How the fuck did you know this? That tells me that they're legit. Now, I think Just Trading has had 30 plus years of experience trading, more years than I've been alive. And my friend is like 24 and only a couple of years into this stock market stuff like I am, but he's unemployed. Yeah, like, you know, story for another time, but he's unemployed. So he has had all the time in the world over the past couple of years to suss this stuff. Whereas I've had 7-day work weeks with 60-ish hours of work each week for those past few years. And then I've also had this brand, my CPA studies, my gym, my own social events, etc. Now, my friend, he has his own social stuff too, but I probably have even more social stuff than he does despite actually having a job. He also gyms, you know, more than I do. In fact, I got him into gym years and years ago, but like a gym routine and a social event once a full moon isn't going to take up that much of your time. So anyway, if he susses this stuff for a living and is shocked that I know this, that sells me that Just Trading knows their shit. And in the small amount of time I've followed them, they've made me some decent returns. I'm still only doing smaller sums of money now until they totally earn my trust. I mean, they're pretty much close anyway. And I'm more comfortable with putting more and more money down, but they've had a good record for me thus far. Now, note that when you see me posting about investment gains and closes on Instagram or Twitter, it's not all 100% due to these guys. I still watch my other channels, including channels that aren't on this list, and gather information from there. Example, the day of writing this script, I sold out of a ton of positions. I have heaps of open positions to test out Just Trading, Stocked Up, and my own info, and maybe some other channels who give me prompts like the Maverick of Wall Street. I made the General Motors and Lyft trades myself. Lyft rallied 6% the other day due to cutting staff or something, and I'm like, this isn't enough to warrant a 6% rise, it'll come back down shortly, and it did. No other channels mentioned this. I just saw the stock was up 6% on my watch list, and I did hear maybe Stocked Up or Nobody Special Finance briefly mention the layoffs regarding this stock, but those channels never said, oh, the stock is up 6% based on this news, it's unjustified, I'd recommend shorting now. I came to that conclusion based on my own knowledge. As for General Motors, this is also a trade I made myself. They had earnings coming up, and with Tesla lowering their costs lately, I imagine GM would be doing the same, which would obviously lower their margins and whatnot. So I shorted before earnings, and it paid off. Yet another stock I wasn't prompted to trade, it was purely my own decision. The Roblox was a momentum play I got from Stocked Up. Figured I'd put some money in to suss what they found, and it worked. Many of these other trades were from Just Trading, however, so let's see how this pans out. It'll probably pan out bad, since the last time I talked about my hot streak in investing, the couple weeks following I had some really bad trades. I doubled down and I got burned. So, as long as I don't go ham, I should be okay, but watch me jinx the trade ideas I come up with, and Just Trading and Stocked Up. So, that's the only 8 finance channels you really need. I still watch others like Hersey Financial, Zip Trader, Traveling Trader, and many others that you've seen in the other rankings video. But in terms of if you just want the basics and just want enough info to make a pretty penny from investing, these are the only 8 channels you need. Hope it helps out your investor stat. Thanks for watching. That is all.